Hey everybody, how's it going? We are in, shall I call it, the Power Stroke shop? I had to do it. You guys know me, I don't usually call this the Power Saw shop, but we're going to call it the Power Stroke shop for today. Today's video, I want to finish my projects on this truck. Before it gets too cold, I'm taking this truck out of service, and I ordered a bunch of accessories for this truck and purchased one literally yesterday. I'm going to do an overall overview of what I'm doing to this truck, and over the next week or two, I'm going to take this thing out of service and I'm going to do all these little projects and make this thing the ultimate towing and hauling rig for me. This may not be the perfect truck for everybody, but this is the perfect truck for me. And if there is such a thing as a perfect truck, and let's go through one by one and do all these little projects. Now, this is a little later in the year than I wanted to do this. Some of the parts that I was looking for were on back order, and I was having a hard time finding them. And others I ordered, and they were delayed in shipping. So I just got all my parts about a week ago. And I had this, but not that, and that, but not this. You guys know the deal. So I was waiting for each part to arrive. Today's video, I'm going to do an overview of what I'm going to put on this truck to make it the perfect towing and hauling rig. At this point, I really like this truck. It's good on fuel. It's got 2 fuel tanks. The range is more than sufficient for what I need. And I'm looking over this truck, and it's darn near perfect. I am noticing a few little things. Where this upper rad hose hooks up to the block, I see I have a little coolant leak there. No big deal. There's 3 bolts that look like they're easy to get to. I'm going to undo that and see what's going on. I'll make a new gasket or glue it back together. That'll solve that. You guys saw in the last video of this truck, I put 2 new batteries in it and a new fuel filter. I ordered that standoff pipe. And again, that's going to come from Alberta, and it's 2 weeks out. So I'm waiting 2 weeks to finish that project. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you what I think this truck needs to be literally the perfect towing and hauling rig. Some of the shots might be a little funny. Friends, this truck fills this shop. It's tight in here. And I got about 2.5, 3 feet on either side. I got no room behind it, but I've been working in this shop for years. As long as I can close the door and keep it warm in here, we'll be able to do work on this truck. And I didn't even light a fire. I'm just getting ready and planning out what I'm doing. And I'm going to say that as I get older, maybe I get a little smarter, but I'm going to plan this so that everything goes off without a hitch. I want to make sure I have all the parts I need and everything to just go through this and install these parts. Okay, let's hop inside the truck, and I want to talk about what I'm going to do into the interior of this truck to make this thing, again, what I think is the perfect diesel rig. Let's hop inside. Let's look at this truck stock. So stock, you have your oil pressure, charge, coolant temperature, and your fuel gauge. Now, underneath here, this thing's full of parts right now. I have a charge protect. I can hit this button and it'll tell me digitally exactly where my charger's at, my battery charge, high idle, all that kind of stuff. So this is a really nice accessory. I can idle this truck up in 50 RPM increments in winter and keep the batteries charged if I'm running my winch or my slip tank or whatever, or I just want to keep the truck warm. I can dial it up and down with this unit here. So that's really good. Now, if you have never had a diesel truck, one thing that you want to do, I think it's important, especially if you're pulling heavy. Now, friends, I'm planning to get a pretty substantial travel trailer, and you want to make sure that your temperatures and your boost and everything is working properly. So I purchased this triple gauge mount, pillar mount from Glow Shift, and I'm going to have fuel, boost, and exhaust temperature right here. You want to monitor your exhaust temperature when you're towing heavy. You want to keep it as low as possible, especially if you're climbing hills and that. And the only way to know where your exhaust temperature is to monitor it with a probe or a thermocouple and a good gauge. So this one's nice. I have to wait till it was available. This is matching plastic to the OEM one, and it'll look factory, and I think it's a good deal. So we're going to put these glow shift gauges in, and that way we can monitor everything. I want to monitor my fuel pressure, my boost, and my exhaust temperature. Okay, so we're going to do that. Now, the next thing I got for this truck is a set of slip over tow mirrors. These ones actually work pretty good. They don't vibrate much, and I can see behind my trailer now. They're not the best looking mirrors, but they were cheap and cheerful, and I'll use these for a while. But that's the next thing I really thought I needed after towing with this thing a bit. I was having a really hard time backing in trailers with these stock little mirrors that are on this truck. So this is definitely helping. Those are easy to install. There's just a wedge. And you screw it in like this and drop it on the floor, and away you go. So that's another thing that I picked up. Again, no big deal to install those. They come on and off, no problems, and they've been working pretty good for me. Next, and you guys can see I'm standing. There's not a lot of room beside the truck, so it can be a little bit of a battle to work on a truck this size in here, but we get her done. Next up on my list of things that I wanted. Now, this took a long time for me to decide which exhaust I wanted. I'm getting to that age, friends, where I like noise, but I don't like noise. So, do you guys get what I'm saying? I want more exhaust flow in this truck with the 3-inch downpipe, okay? This is a big deal in these trucks. I'm just gonna grab the other side. Okay, friends, so stock on these OBS 7.3s, to fit this motor in here, they took this downpipe and they squished it flat. It's called the Cobra pipe. It really restricts turbo flow, and what I read, and I don't know until I put this exhaust on, is with this pipe on, it's not so much that you create more power with the truck, but your turbo will spool up quicker. You'll have more boost down low, and therefore you're moving the power lower and still keeping that upper RPM that these trucks are good for when they're stock. Right now, the turbo doesn't start hitting till about 2,000 RPM. So I ordered this system here. This is a Diamond Eye full exhaust system. This one reincorporates my catalytic converter. I don't know how I feel about that. We'll run the truck with the cat in and see how it runs. This is a 4-inch system. I didn't want a giant 5-inch tailpipe hanging out. And this one has a full-length muffler that comes with it. Very similar to the stock muffler. So I'm sure this is going to be noisier than stock, but I'm hoping that I don't get a lot of drone in the cab. I've been on the online forums that talk about power strokes and stuff like that. And what a lot of guys are saying, if you straight pipe these without the cat, they get a lot of drone in the cab when you're going down the freeway. I do a lot of highway driving with this truck, and so I'm hoping to keep the noise at a minimum inside the cab, but if she's got a little bark when I honk on her, when I walk the dog, I hope she growls a little bit. So we'll see. And apparently with this system, I should pick up a couple mile per gallon. So nothing wrong with that. This truck is actually very fuel efficient for what it is. I was comparing notes with my buddy that has a brand new 6.7, and my 7.3 gets the same kind of mileage as a 6.7. If I drive her nice and keep my foot out of her, it's very similar in mileage. So if I can get better mileage, I'm in. So anyhow, we're going to install this on another video, but I wanted to show you guys. I picked the Diamond Eye 4-inch exhaust system. Next up on the list, those of you that have been around here saw me install these on my last truck. These are Airlift Load Lifter 5000 series airbags. Uh, 5,000 pounds load leveling support. I put these on my Chevy, and let me tell you, if you tow or haul with your diesel rig or your 3/4 ton truck or even your half ton, these things are amazing. These things will take care of any squat. You can put more weight in your truck than your frame will handle. That's the only thing a fella has to be responsible when he has these. But these things were absolutely incredible in my Chevy, and these things, you'll maintain front pressure on your front end, so your steering doesn't get wonky. Um, you're not beating up your front tires and your front suspension. You can take care of any squat in your truck. You're not sitting on the bump stops. They're just absolutely incredible. For the price of these things, honestly, I will have these on every truck I ever have from here on. And that way I can go down the road and be level, or even have it raked up in the air like this on the back. And I've actually, it was funny, friends, when I did that last load with this truck, I had, 4,000 pounds in the back of wood. And when I was going down the freeway or the highway on the way home, I could feel that the front end was kind of light. And I'm not used to that, because with my Chevy, I would just, I'd put 20 or 30 pounds in the rear bags and maintain my steering. And it's just a good deal. And I got something to go along with this that I think you have to have. I bought Airlift's onboard compressor. I really like these. They're nice and small. I'm going to have to figure out a place to install this. I installed my last one in the cab, and everybody I've talked to that's done that said that's the place to put it. You don't have any problems with freezing or anything like that. So I'm going to see if I can install this either underneath the center seat or underneath the dash somewhere, or even if I could stuff this under the driver's seat and then wire it in that way. It's a good deal. And of course, this comes with a gauge. With a momentary switch, you can turn the compressor on and off. And here's your dump valve. My original plan was to put this gauge in my pillar gauge pack. I was going to order a 4 pillar gauge mount, but only 3 gauges from Glow Shift. But the problem was the 4th gauge. If you put a 4th gauge on this truck, you can't use your sun visor. It'll hit. So I'm going to have to find a place to mount this under the dash. And I'm thinking probably right here next to my idle controller, and that I think it'll fit there nicely. And if I got to reach around the shifter to hit the button, that's fine. So I'm going to be hauling water with this truck just like I did with my last truck. And it's nice to be able to pump the bags up and have some suspension left when you get 4,000 pounds in the back. So there you guys go. I really enjoyed this setup on my Chevy. And let's see how it works on this Ford. I will say, this Ford has substantially more rear suspension. Even though the payload's about the same on this Ford, the rear spring pack is uber heavy. And this thing will take more weight than my Chevy right out of the box. So I think this will just be a nice add-on. And like I said, I feel a lot safer going down the road when your front end is making proper contact and you have, you don't have light steering. I don't like when the front tires are bouncing off the pavement. So we're going to install this too at the same time. Let's get to the last thing. Okay, here's the business end of the bed. This was all snow when I parked in here last night, and that looks like a dirty diaper. Ew, that must have fallen out. Same with that when I went to the dump the other day. I don't drink a lot of pop, friends, but once in a while I like half a bottle of Coke over ice. It's kind of a treat for me, but I try not to drink pop anymore. That stuff's really bad for you. Got to pull this gooseneck out. Nice to have a gooseneck. I'm glad I have it. But my biggest issue with this gooseneck is it's always in the way when I'm hauling stuff. It takes up bed space, and we're going to get rid of that. Next year, I'm going to put 5th wheel rails back in this thing so that I'm ready to go for 5th wheel. But anyhow, friends, this is what my bed generally looks like. This truck is always hauling, towing. I'm always hauling garbage. And it's always dirty like this. I see trucks in the city with pristine beds, and I don't know how a feller keeps his bed so clean, but This is how mine looks all the time. Interesting note, I picked up some mobile Delvac 0W40 full synthetic. I think I'm going to run that in this truck. I was doing some reading about it, and apparently when it's below, this stuff's good to minus 40 Celsius, which is the kind of temps we get here. At minus 40, it flows like a 0.8. Once it gets warm, they're saying 60 seconds of runtime, it turns to a 40 weight. Kind of interesting. Maybe we'll throw some of that in here and see if it helps this thing start better. Anyhow, friends, that's not what I'm doing at the back here, but I just thought, hey, you can tell a lot about a feller by his truck, and I like a truck that's full of junk. I picked this up yesterday. I've been looking for this pretty much exact setup for months since I bought this truck, and I just happened to find it on Marketplace yesterday. And here it is, friends. This is a Westcan headache rack. Sorry about the lights up there, but we're in tight quarters here. This is a Westcan headache rack, full aluminum. These are made in Western Canada, and they are beautiful. And the one thing I like, it's not that much taller than the roof of my truck, because this thing's really tall, and you guys can see the roof of the shop. This was a chicken barn that I cut a hole in the wall, put a beam across, and installed the overhead door years ago. This roof is only like 7 feet, so 7'6", I can't remember. So to the top of these things, it's 6'8", and I have 6'10" to my door. So as long as I keep the doorway clean, I'll never hit that. But this is the exact headache rack I wanted. I like that it's open in the middle at the back, so when you're looking in your rearview mirror, but it's just nice, and it'll go along with the Alcoa wheels on this. But I also got two other things with this that the guy just threw in, and at a price that I honestly could not say no to. Check these out. The guy threw this in with it. These are for a 6.5 foot bed. They're bed rail protectors. I think I can make these work, and you can see the nice Westcan plates, and he threw them in free with the headache rack. So if these end up not working, these are the brackets for the headache rack, but I thought it sure would be nice to have some bed rail protectors with these rails mounted on them, just to protect my bed and give me infinite places to tie down to. What I'm having a trouble with this truck is there's no loops or anything in the bed, and when I'm hauling stuff, it's really troublesome to tie things down. So he gave me these with it, and one more thing that I think is super cool if I can use these bed rails. This right here is a ladder rack that mounts to these brackets, and they're quick release. So if if I'm in this truck and I got something super long, well, I can just mount this rear rack and literally put it right over the roof and strap it down. So, and I mean, really, this rack could be sitting in the bed. I could just strap it to the front of my bed and have it with me. And if I need to haul something long and I want the tailgate up, well, I can just install this rack. So it's a good deal. He gave me all the hardware with it. The only thing I'm going to have to do is show you guys here. These mounts here go into the stake pocket, so I don't even have to drill any holes to mount this thing. But these mounts need to go back maybe to here. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to drill a couple of holes and then die grind in between and move these back to here so that I can slide this up, because the way it's mounting now, it's too far back. But looking at it, I think I can move this far enough in that it's actually going to connect. So if I can use these bed rail sides, I think I'm definitely going to, because they look nice. Once I polish them up, they'll look really good. And like I said, I'm always strapping things down on this truck, and it would be nice to have these rails as an extra point. But before I mount these and go to all the work, I have to measure from here to there on my water tank, because if my water tank won't slip over these rails, won't fit in here, I'm not going to be able to install them. So kind of, I'll have to see what it's going to do before I decide whether I'm going to mount these bed rails or not. But I kind of would like to have them because, like I said, it'd be nice to be able to use this ladder rack. It's time for question of the day. It is late night in the power saw shop. It's getting cold out. Look at my hands. Oh yeah, we are working on a diesel. I'm going to pick away at this thing a little here and a little there, and I'll definitely make you guys some videos on that. Today's question of the day comes from Scotty Price from Ohio. How's it going, Scotty? I loved Ohio. Such a nice place, friendly people. Scotty's question of the day is kind of a two-part question, but it's all one subject. Pipes for saws. How do I go about making a flange? Well, Scotty, I cheat a little bit. I take an exhaust gasket and I trace it onto a piece of flat steel and then punch my holes, and then I usually use a drill bit and I'll drill 2 holes and then I'll just grind the center out, take my die grinder and go in there and smooth it out and line it up with the exhaust port. The other thing is Scotty wants to know about how do I pick the size and shape and just how do I know what I'm going for? Well, a lot of that is I've built quite a few pipes. Bigger header pipe and bigger exit for big saw, smaller header pipe and a smaller exit for small saw. But really, Scotty, pipes are not one size fits all, and you just gotta kind of build them. When you get one that really works, the last 5 you made that you thought worked might not be so good. So I've made pipes that I go, yeah, this is really good, and then I'll make another pipe and I go, wow. And that's just the way it goes. So make a bunch of flanges and start welding bits and pieces and scraps together and figure out what you can make. Main thing I will say though, when you're building a pipe, flip the saw around. Make sure you're not going to burn your leg, your hand, or any of that kind of stuff with it. I've made that mistake before where I put the exit right where my hand's going to be on a full wrap and you'll cook your fingers. So little things like that. But the main thing is don't make your exit too small. Don't make your head pipe too small. But you need some back pressure in most saws. So anyhow, Scotty, happy welding, and I hope that helped you out. For everybody else, send more questions of the day. I'll keep putting them at the end of videos. And thanks for watching. Take her easy. Later.